Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alvarez. My guests today are Chris Petrelli, Executive Director, and Dan Bridget, Board President of Hendricks Live, the new state-of-the-art performing arts center in Plainfield, Indiana, celebrating its official opening soon. Join me now as I go on the aisle for my conversation with Chris Petrelli and Dan Bridget. Welcome, Chris and Dan, to my podcast. Great to have you both.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So let's talk about Hendricks Live. How did you come up with the name of the venue?
That's actually a great question. So, our goal is to really be the premier arts and entertainment destination in West Central Indiana. And one of the things that was really important to us from the very beginning was to make sure that everybody in the community embraced it as their own. You know, arts and entertainment, we're a nonprofit organization, and as such, we will rely heavily on the support of the community in order to thrive. And so we really felt that if the name was rooted in Plainfield, we might alienate some in the community who maybe just didn't think that this was a space for them. So we really wanted to broaden our base and make sure everyone in Hendricks County felt connected to it in some way. The other reason is because we wanted to be an inclusive organization. You know, I think that arts at their best bring people together, and arts at their worst can sometimes pull people apart or make people feel like they don't belong. Hendricks County is a very diverse community. It has, people of all across the socioeconomic spectrum. And we want to make sure that everyone in that community feels welcome and feels like this is a space where they can be themselves. So we wanted to lean a little bit more towards arts and entertainment versus fine art or high culture. We wanted to make sure that folks who maybe don't have experience with ballet or abstract art or modern dance or classical music could still feel welcome in the space, could still feel relaxed in our space. And not feel like they have to come in with a preset level of knowledge about the arts. The way I think of it is I don't want people to have to sniff the Cabernet in order to drink it. I would just want them to enjoy the Cabernet.
So, Dan, you are a city councilman, and you're also on the board of Hendricks Live. So
Town councilman of Plainfield, yes.
And Plainfield, tell me about the community.
Well, Plainfield goes back over 180 years, and the core, that is the village of Plainfield, has been a hub for the southern part of Hendricks County for a very long time. As things developed and modern things began to happen, the town was expanding. When I moved to town in 1984, it was 6 square miles, and now it's 30. And as the town was developing, the town council recognized that we had a unique opportunity in that where we were located, we were right next to Interstate 70. We were right next to the airport. We had an opportunity to develop an economic engine, which is basically what we did. Our logistics and warehouse and light manufacturing area acts as a buffer between us and the airport, which kind of soundproofs us. And so the east side of Plainfield is industrial and is our economic engine, if you will. And the center of town and the west of town is where we live. Our people, by our people, I mean our citizens in Plainfield, we asked them exactly what they wanted to see. We work on a 20 to 25 year development cycle, and our planning goes out that far. Over the years, we developed the Rich Carlucci Aquatic Center, which is Splash Island now, and we've just expanded it again, and it's one of the premier water parks in the Midwest. our trail system for walking and bicycling. People put high value in that. So we've invested in over 30 miles of walking trails, high value sports for young people. And we've worked with the optimists and different groups in town to develop a really good youth program. We were asking people, what is it we're missing? We want to develop quality of place. So that requires intentional placemaking. Mm-hmm. By asking, we got answers like, we'd like to see the downtown more vibrant. We would like to see the old movie theater revived somehow. And we'd like to have some kind of entertainment venue that would draw people to the downtown. Wherever you see the arts, culinary arts follow. So restaurants and those kinds of things developing downtown. So we got very, very serious about how do you develop this. We got a national consultant to give us input. We were very collegial. And I must say that Central Indiana's art scene are very collegial. Mm-hmm. When we told them that we were considering this, we went to Butler, we went to Bloomington, we went to a number of different places, the Phoenix downtown here, and said, we're thinking about doing this. How would we fit in? Mm-hmm. And they did maps and all this kind of stuff and forms of draw and all that.
You're very smart. You didn't reinvent the wheel. You got a lot of inputs from people who've been there.
I'm glad you said that, Tom. Yeah. We tend to be collegial and inclusive as a town council and the people who work in the town. Mm-hmm. There are two ways to do something. We've found out that that's always the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, what are some of the other communities that surround or in Hendricks County, actually? What are other cities and towns?
Well, there are three other major metro towns, mm-hmm. Danville, which is our county seat, mm-hmm. Brownsburg, mm-hmm. Avon, and Plainfield, and we're all lined up basically on what was 267, the state.
I'm generalizing here, but I know that there's a lot of high income in those areas. Professionals, that's like bedroom community Indianapolis.
Yes, it is. One of the things that we identified in Plainfield was, what can we do to develop our town so that it's a place where people can live and work and play? Mm-hmm. Well, our economic engine is providing people. We actually gain population during the day, mm-hmm. but we want to be affordable. We want to be a spectrum of different kinds of people. Mm-hmm. We are actually working with developers on workforce housing so that people who work in Plainfield can live in Plainfield.
Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily want to be a bedroom community, I understand. They want to stay put in their own area without having to come to rely on Indianapolis. Is that part of it?
Well, first of all, not relying on Indianapolis when you're in central Indiana is, let's say it's not likely.
Of course. If there are amenities in your own community, you have a choice, though.
That's right. And in doing what we were doing, we worked with this person to say, we need to develop an organization around this building that we're building. Mm-hmm. And we need the right person to lead this ground up, if you will. I mean, we literally started with a hole in the ground mm-hmm. and built a facility. And Chris came on to develop the organization that runs it.
And Chris, I met you. I want to say that I actually toured the facility a few weeks ago. And as you know, I was so impressed that I said, you got to come on and talk about this. And I was just
appreciate
impressed with not only the facility, but with your background in the arts, your past experiences and how you bring that to the table. Again, they are very smart not to try to reinvent the wheel and find someone who didn't already have a wealth of experience. And so, yes, I came away from there thinking, wow, what truly it will be your jewel in the crown. And, talking about the city and the government and the choices that it made in regard to this, I can't help but think that you must have been inspired by what Carmel did. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for the town, but you can absolutely look at the economic impact that Center for the Performing Arts has brought to the city of Carmel and use that as a testament to say the arts do work. The arts help enhance quality of life, bring people together, expand tourism to a community. And
that was actually Jim Brainer's hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the arts.
absolutely.
As opposed to Indianapolis and amateur sports. And of course, we don't have mountains and we don't have a beach.
Sure.
So we've got to come up with...
Well, and I think that that's important for us. It's part of the message that we try to get out within the community of Hendricks County itself, that, yes, the Plainfield Town Council is interested in building a home for professional arts organizations in Hendricks County. But the value in doing that is not just to enhance quality of life for residents or to create visitation, but to create economic impact overall.
And there was a buildup of need for the arts. When we were looking at this, Hendricks County has had a symphony orchestra for some time. They've had a civic theater. They've had a children's ballet. They've had a performing arts group, and they needed a home. And they've been looking for a home for a long time. And we brought those pieces together and said, we're thinking about building this facility. We want your input. And if you would like this to be your home, we're certainly open to that. And,
that's so consistent with a model that has all over the country now, including Indianapolis, the Phoenix Theater being one, the Cultural Center, the Performing Arts Center, even smaller theaters like the District and Indy Fringe. They're bringing in small production companies or small companies of all kinds who can't afford to maintain a permanent home and need a home. Yeah, and it creates a revenue stream for the organization or the presenting organization to sustain itself. So all of that's very attractive to funders, and I'm sure that's part of your thinking too.
Well, Chris started the motion in establishing a cohort group of all those people.
One of the things that impressed me about it, and I told you, was what you're doing runs parallel to yours truly as an individual. I mean, to not only shine a light on artists and what they're all about and how they contribute, but also the bigger picture. Those of us in the arts have been trying to push for years and years and years and to convince government and convince the citizenry we're not a luxury. We create jobs. We are a culture. We're economic drivers.
Yeah.
So there is a benefit to this. It's not just dabbling. It's not about art for the elite or for a chosen few. So that's why I was so taken with what you are doing, because I'm all for arts education throughout the whole state. It benefits the whole state. And to have a county such as yours to create yet another source for the arts, I think is a great thing. I hope it spreads to counties everywhere.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, to build on the point about our relationship to downtown Indianapolis, I mean, one of the things that I believe strongly is that a rising tide floats all boats. And, convenience matters nowadays. A lot of downtown, not just downtown Indianapolis, but in cities across America, arts organizations are struggling because visitation into downtowns, into urban centers is dwindling a little bit. Now, I believe that convenience matters. And if you can provide a convenient access to individuals that make it easier for them to overcome barriers to consume the arts, then they'll begin to reacquaint themselves with their love of it, reacquaint themselves with the desire to see more, experience more live events in general. And that will then feed into more visitation into downtown. Once we sort of light the spark, people will, I think, follow that spark.
Dan, are you seeing that spillover that we're talking about here so far? Do you have any evidence that, are people going to restaurants in the area? Are they what's going on?
It's very easy to see the difference in downtown Plainfield in just the month that we've been open.
Oh, I want to hear about it.
I mentioned the Pruitt Theater.
Sure.
The Pruitt Theater was basically set empty for years and years and years and years and years, and it was ready to fall down. The town was able to get a hold of it, do what was necessary to bring it up to a white box that it might be interesting to some people. We brought people in to take a look at it. and some larger groups said, you need a local entrepreneur who's really invested in the community if you want this to happen. And two young people, young entrepreneurs stepped up. The Pruitt is now a night spot. It's a very upscale bar. There's an upstairs speakeasy. There's outside dining. And that was the first to open. And they really went based on faith that we were going to complete it because they started long before the theater itself was ready. Talajos is a upscale Guadalajara-type Mexican restaurant, which is wonderful. They've been open for 6 weeks, and my wife and I have been there 4 times. For dinner 4 times plus lunch. Mm-hmm. And people are just walking around downtown. The bicycle shop on the corner is, I frequent the downtown businesses as much as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. And I have friends at the bicycle shop because I do that. And he said
to say there are trails in the area?
Yes.
The Monon?
Oh, yeah. Over 30, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Over 30 miles of trail. And we are
former railroad?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's called the Vandalia Trail.
All right.
And the Vandalia Trail will go across the state of Indiana. And it's called
Does it hook up with the system in Indy?
It can. It definitely can.
That's neat.
Right now, you can technically hook up to the B&O. Are you familiar with the B&O Trail?
Yeah. I live on the west side of Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm quite familiar, and they're hoping that's going to be an economic engine as well. It's going to help transform the west side.
I absolutely agree with that.
You know, I have to say on a personal note, I wear many hats. I'm also a manager of a cabaret company, Magic Thread Cabaret. We approached and they agreed, and we had a lovely fundraiser at the Pruitt. So I know all about the Pruitt. And one of the first things they mentioned to us when we were planning the whole thing was there was a lot of excitement about across the street, the Performing Arts Center, and they were really excited about partnering with you all. But, you know, we had a great time. And what we do fit very nicely on that stage, where there used to be a movie house, as you know, and the theater was ideal for cabaret. And apparently they do other music there.
They do. Genres, they do live music, yeah.
But they're doing well.
They're doing very well. Yeah. And on the nights that we have performances, they do very well.
Yeah. Well, that's a great compliment to what you're doing across the street. Chris, let's get back to the center itself. So I had the tour there. Mm-hmm. Describe the building, the amenities. Yeah, sure. Back to Carmel, I've been covering the Center for the Performing Arts since its inception. I had a hard hat tour.
Oh, nice.
So I know and you've been with the project since the beginning, correct?
Not quite the beginning. Actually, I came on post-design phase. So by that point, the entire complex, which actually includes the Plainfield Government Center, the government center portion had already been mostly complete by that point in time. But, you know, the design of the space, it's a world-class venue, 600 seats. It has, state-of-the-art equipment. It was really designed to accommodate a wide variety of different types of productions. So because I was not on the ground during the design portion of the project, they didn't exactly know what's the niche, where are we going with this? And so they needed to create a blank slate that could be flexible enough to accommodate.
Let's back up just a bit. So, Dan, how did you all pick the consultants to design, or the designers for the theater? Well, so you did it this way. Let's build it, and then we'll figure out how to utilize it.
Stepping back and looking at the entire project, the Plainfield Civic Center is made up of Part A, which was the government building, and then Part B, which was the Performing Arts Center. As we were doing this and we were working with the architects, here again in a very collegial mode with the architects, the town council, and an engineering firm that's acted as the town representative, and some input from people in the arts group said, if you were going to build this and you were looking for expertise, who would you talk to? And that's how we selected them. They're actually out of Denver and Phoenix area. Mm-hmm. And just an incredible wealth of knowledge. And we put together what we thought was a good framework for what this building ought to look like. And we started with architectural design and this kind of thing. And Chris is being quite modest. We had these things in place, and Chris says, if you would make this change, if you would make that change, because he understands performers, he understands national acts that come in, what are the things that they like to see, and getting input from our cohort group on what does the ballet need, what would you like to see? And we took all of that input, and then Chris came in and basically fine-tuned things.
Who was the sort of a committee that came out of the council? I presume you put together a committee. Who were those people?
Chris, I'll let you answer that one.
So that included members of the town council, as well as members of the community cohort. So let me just back up a little bit to describe programmatically. We're home for local arts organizations like the Hendricks Symphony, the Hendricks Civic Theater, Children's Ballet, and the Hendricks County Arts Council. So early on in the project, the town engaged that group to inform, contribute to the design phase, to understand programmatically.
They were the core.
They were the core. They were the core.
Then committee people who had arts experience. You went right to the people who do the art.
And then also there were outside consultants, also experts in design and in nonprofit management who all contributed to the overall architectural.
So they were able to tell, well, we need this, we're going to need rehearsal space, we're going to need like dressing room, facilities. This is what we need.
This is what we need in order to manage the local arts programming. But then in addition, we had conversations with people on the national venue scene to understand what would, as a roadhouse, as a touring house, what would we need to accommodate outside shows.
Professional musicians, bands, you name it, dance companies.
And that's where the nuance really comes in. Okay, are you going to be a place for classical or acoustic music, or are you going to be a place for amplified concerts, rock?
How did you determine it should only be 600 seats?
I think that, so that was one of the decisions that happened prior to my arrival. Do you want to talk more, Dan, about how that came
Well, first of all, that's a really great question. How did we arrive at 600 seats? In part of our research and in working with other groups in the area, other theaters in the area, we identified there was a hole on the west side of Indianapolis where something needed to be filled. And we said, well, if we fill that, what would it look like? And what would it take to be profitable? While we don't mind supporting the arts, we'd like for this to be at least somewhat self-supporting at some level. And so we looked at different sizes and what it was we were trying to do with it, understanding that this cohort group of local groups probably are going to be a major part of this, but they're not going to develop the income that we're going to need to be able to run a facility of this size and scope. So we started talking about, well, how would we bring touring acts in and what kind of acts would be interested in coming to Plainfield, Indiana? And we talked about how big it needed to be, and we arrived at 600 to 700 seats with the help of our national consultant. That was the point at which we thought, okay, we know the scope, we know what we're trying to do. It's now time to start building an organization that can make this happen. And that's where Chris came on.
Mm-hmm. Chris, I want to get more into the facility, but let's back up. Tell us about your experience that brought you to this place.
Oh, well, I grew up that theater kid. I was the kid who was in all the high school plays and musicals.
Did you put on shows when you were a little kid?
I did, absolutely. You transformed living rooms into playhouses. But I did it all. My mom and dad spent most of their young parental lives carting me around to lesson after lesson after lesson. You name it.
Were you an actor, singer, dancer, all through?
Tried to do it all. Thought I did it all until I got to New York and realized, wow.
Where did you go to college?
I went to IU. I studied theater at IU. And, had a wonderful time there, was successful in performing in the shows there, graduated with a theater degree, and then, had aspirations to conquer Broadway and Hollywood, but always with the intent of someday operating my own theater, cultural center. I always, ironically enough, saw real thought that I would end up in a position like this, but thought that the way to get there was via the stage, not realizing that this job title of producer existed. And so when I got to New York, I eventually decided that I was better equipped behind the scenes, started working with a boutique production company that specialized in off-Broadway national tours.
What was it called?
It's called Westbeth Entertainment.
Okay.
And we found a really interesting niche, amongst other things, in British comedy. So we became the home for a lot of people who were big on the other side of the pond to come to America and, try their hand at
Such as? What were some examples?
Billy Connolly, Eddie Izzard, Graham Norton, folks like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And how long did you do that?
I gotta think now. Man, probably like around 5 years or so.
So you were in Manhattan that whole time, the 5 years?
Yeah, well, I was in Manhattan from 99 through 2011 until I got here.
Wow, so you can always say that you tried it and you did it. A lot of people dream about it. And
Yeah. I didn't last too long on the performance side of things. I, like I said, you kind of learn pretty early on where your niche is. And I realized that I have a more business. So
you
mindset.
always had a back in your head. You knew that you were going to you were going to make a career of managing.
That's what I wanted. That's what I aspired to.
So are you good at business? You must be.
I don't. I mean, it is something that I appreciate.
I'm going to ask you.
I have to tell you, in interviewing people for this position, it became very clear to the panel that was doing the interview that Chris has this right brain, left brain thing going on. He has this very creative side, but this guy is a wizard with spreadsheets. So you don't find that very often.
Well, so can I actually make a quick point about that? So I eventually got my MBA at IU downtown here, and that was a wonderful experience. But as somebody who transitioned from a performance education background into the sort of back end, it took me a while to realize just how much business skills, project management in particular, that I acquired from my theater education. I like to talk to people and especially parents whose kids are interested in theater or other performing arts right now, to just say, look, regardless of whether you end up career-wise down this road, you will gain immeasurable, invaluable experience.
You don't have to choose something else to fall back on. You can stay in a related.
You can
something related to your art.
I agree. I think that look, you can be an accountant in a number of different industries and in a number of different fields. I always advise college students to pick a field that they enjoy more so than the job.
I'm not implying that you were a failed actor like me, but we have so.
Oh no, I was.
Okay,
I was.
Well, I own mine. I knew that I wasn't going to make a living as an actor. No. I just was realistic, and it took me a while to find out that other side of the brain would serve me well because I'm still involved. But I mean, that's why I related so much to what you're creating and the background that you bring to the table. They are very. Yeah, as you pointed out, I know how fortunate you are. You all seem to be, or appears that you are very happy with your choice.
Oh, very, very, very happy. Any organization reflects its leadership. Bottom line. We knew that picking the right general director for what it was that we were trying to do, somebody who understood our vision for what we'd like to see for the future of our town, and somebody who could actually put an organization together to make it happen. Those people don't grow on trees. It became very apparent to us. There was myself and Kent McPhail on this selection. We were members of the town council. And as we were listening to Chris, we just sort of looked at each other across the table. We didn't have to say anything. We just knew.
That's the guy. How did you find him?
We put together a nationwide search. And we had people flying in from all over the country. And our consultant was absolutely key in making this happen. Brought people from all over the country, and come to find out the very person that we were looking for was right under our nose at Conner Prairie.
Oh, yeah.
he brought so much to the table, and everybody was bringing pieces to the table.
But literally, how did you find him? Did someone say, "Hey, there's this guy out running Conner Prairie you should talk to"?
No, and this is very embarrassing, by the way, all of this accolades. I was looking for that next step in my career, and I threw my hat into the ring. I saw that. I saw the job post and said,
"You were on the computer."
Yeah, I had been at.
I
had been at Conner Prairie for 10 years. And was looking for that.
Chris, what did you do there, by the way?
I was the associate vice president of museum experiences. Okay. So I basically helped to create the show. If you think about the guest experience,
so were you in charge of all the reenactors?
For period, yes. It flowed up through me, but primarily on the programming side and education side of things. So programs like The Headless Horseman and A Merry Prairie Holiday.
So you didn't directly work with the actors directly?
No, I would say direct.
Okay. Yeah.
From our point of view, we were looking for someone who this is their dream job. Mm-hmm. We're looking for somebody who is a builder. And Chris, when we were interviewing him, we asked him, in his perfect world, what would you do? He had the perfect answer.
And what was that?
I don't even remember. He said, I see this as an opportunity to build an organization from the ground up. Yeah. Okay. He says, and that energizes me. That was his word. Yeah. That energizes me. And that's when Kent and I looked at each other.
Yeah.
And that is, true. Like how you don't, I'm very, very lucky that I wake up every morning having to pinch myself that I get to build an organization, a cultural organization from the ground up. But I will say, while that was a major hook in me wanting to be involved in this project, as I got on the ground, as I learned more about Hendricks County, as I learned more about the community, Plainfield, especially, that I found new reasons to really engage and new things that just reinforced mainly the fact that Hendricks County is a vastly changing community. It's one of the second or third fastest growing communities.
Dan, you mentioned the demographics. Who are we talking about? Are there the airport bring in a lot of new people? And you said all of the factory and stuff and all of that. Did people come in to work at all of those facilities?
Well, they do, but Plainfield is also the home of the National Islamic Student Center.
Okay.
We are extremely diverse. Our school system has over 40 different native languages in it.
And you've got because everyone in Indiana, every city has drawn a large share of Latino immigrants. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, of course, that's a big part of the population.
We're welcome and opening. Going back, Plainfield was a Quaker settlement. And all the way back to the Underground Railroad forward, we've been a very welcoming community.
That tells me it already had a tradition of open-mindedness and tolerance.
Yes, sir.
And I think that it's a community, as I said, that is transitioning. And I believe that the arts can play a role socially in helping to foster dialogue, helping to foster new perspectives, getting people out from behind their screens, off of their couches, in a room together, getting neighbors in a room together, remembering that we're all human beings.
It's another thing that I was impressed your ability to convey that message. It's the wider picture of arts education to people. You could just help them see what the big picture is. Mm-hmm. Don't you agree that's like the first step in them getting them in the door? So if you could just make them know why they're part of it.
Yeah. Well, our vision.
They're welcome.
Absolutely. Our vision as an organization, as we met with our board and started to talk about, what is it really that we want to do? Our vision is to serve as a unifying force for Central Indiana's diverse communities. And that really evolved out of why the arts? What's the role that the arts can play within a community? And I believe providing that sense of continuity amongst us is a major factor.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly we know that music is a universal language.
Yeah.
In all the other arts, as a matter of fact. So how was it, were all of the groups, how many companies are there?
Well, so we have community arts partners like Hendricks.
You're calling them partners.
Yeah.
Arts partners.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
they're your resident companies, though.
More or less,
Okay.
yeah. So the Hendricks Civic Theater is actually opening their production of Harvey this week, the Jimmy Stewart classic. Great show. And then Hendricks Symphony will be performing their concert, the music of Mendelssohn and Shostakovich at the end of the month.
Are these semi-professional musicians?
I believe in some cases, yes, but I don't know that they would call the entire company semi-professional. But, so one of the things that we're really excited about with this particular concert is that it will showcase a new piano. So, as I mentioned, we are world-class space with world-class equipment. One of those amenities is a brand new Steinway grand piano that we received courtesy of a grant from the Alan Whitehill Clues Charitable Foundation.
Wonderful.
Very grateful to them for their support. And they did so because, again, they recognize, well, you're building this amazing space. You can't equip it with a less than world-class piano. And we also want to be, we're the right size for a lot of classical and jazz programming. And we needed to have an instrument that would showcase the best talent out there. So very, very happy that we have that, and that'll be on display at the concert at the end of the month.
When did you, and I know you've got a gala coming up, but I want to talk about that, your quote grand opening.
Yes.
So when did you have your quote soft opening?
So we began hosting productions, audiences, March 9th. We did a series of soft openings with local bands, 2 more cover bands of My Yellow Rickshaw, the Late Night Revelators, and then the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra also came to do a concert to give us a chance to kick the tires. And
what was it like to see your first audience?
It was amazing. It was
you're just smiling from ear to ear there, Dan. How did it feel? I mean, when you think about this is a germ, right? A seed, and to see that come into fruition, how does that feel?
First of all, the response of our community has just been overwhelming. They've been there. They've enjoyed everything from My Yellow Rickshaw to the Chamber Orchestra. And they've been open arms and welcoming and enthusiastic to everything that we put on the stage. And I kind of sit back. I tend to be a watcher.
Yeah.
And I watch the people come in and I see what they do. And then I see their reaction. And then I watch them leave. You can tell a lot about what's happened as people are filing out. And if everything I've done in my life has prepared me to be able to be a part of this. So
it's a wonderful feeling, isn't it?
It is, true.
I've been involved in a few startup organizations, and you remember that first meeting or the first pitch, and then you're walking into a multi-million-dollar building. It's like, wow, it's all possible if
you're right,
Tom. Right people together.
You're right, and
who have vision.
Well, not only that, but just the mechanics of making this happen. We had to put in new sewers, new water lines, new electric to be able to support the kind of draw, gas lines, telephone communication. It was huge.
Wonder how are you paying for it?
My wife asks me that all the time.
Who's paying for it?
Our town council looks at this as an investment. We asked our people what they wanted to see. That's how the Aquatic Center was built. We asked people what else they wanted to see, and they said they wanted this. Mm-hmm. So we made the investment, $52 million, to build this complex, which is Part A, the Government Center, and Part B, the Performing Arts Center, to make Plainfield a premier place to live in the Midwest.
How'd you fund it, though? Was it a combination of private and government dollars?
No, it was all government dollars.
Okay.
Through a number of different, you know how complex the government funding things are, through a number of things. But the Indiana's TIF financing method was employed, and it's been a great benefit to our town.
And now part of your job is to bring in the private sector, correct?
Correct.
And I asked you, are you a good fundraiser?
You need to be.
And
we'll find out. Right?
Well, do you like fundraising?
I do. Actually. Well, at the root of it, I like building relationships.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, fundraising is 90% relationships. And I am in the luxurious position of being a part of something that the community really is excited about. So it's not like I have to go knock on doors and people don't want to hear from me. This is a cool thing. And people that I've spoken with are ready to embrace it. I'm really grateful for the support we've received.
What is your overall sort of marketing plan consist of? It's usually 2, 3, 4 pronged. So foundations, donors,
on the development
sponsors.
side. Yeah, exactly. So just that. We have a sponsorship program with a hierarchical from.
Have you gotten season sponsors?
We do
for next year.
Hendricks
Show sponsor.
Hendricks County Bank and Trust is our season sponsor. Hendricks Regional Health is a supporting season sponsor. York Automotive is sponsoring our national touring concert series. And then we have a number of show sponsors as well for each individual show.
You started that, 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, I would say, yeah, as soon as I got on the ground, starting to build those relationships and understand what the needs are, what do the businesses and the community want.
Doesn't sound like it was a difficult sell.
Well, like I said, I mean, it's easy when you've got something that people...
Well, that building makes such a statement.
Right.
How could you not? One of the things that to those listening, you've got to see this place, folks, because you walk into that lobby and it's like, just to have that facility is so imposing, that 3-4 story lobby. It's like something you would see in a much larger market. I mean, even LA or Chicago. I mean, really, it's imposing.
Yeah. People,
it's such a statement.
One of my favorite things to do is to tour people around, and they think when they're coming out to Plainfield to see a performing arts center that they're going to come to a nice, quaint, very modest municipal auditorium. But that's not what this is. This is I believe, a major regional
And of
theater.
course, when I saw the theater, obviously as a producer, I immediately could see a symphony on that stage. I could see a large scale theatrical production, a musical, a touring, and everything. The stage facility itself, it's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
The wing space and the fly system, it was just really spectacular. And then to see how many dressing rooms you laid out for?
So we have
stations or whatever.
Yeah, so we have 2 star dressing rooms, and then we have 2 group dressing rooms, each of which have 16 stations, makeup stations each, so 32 total. And then in addition, there's a whole line of overflow makeup stations in our green room area for when we do, say, the children's ballet's Nutcracker.
No one is in a green room like yours. I mean,
it's very nice. Yeah,
it's very it's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, again, I couldn't be happier.
Word gets around in my coverage of the performing arts. A lot of performers who I've interviewed over the years tell me word gets out. Like, for instance, I'll use Center and Carmel. They have such a reputation for their facility of performers.
Yeah.
That want to come there because they're treated in a first-class manner.
Yeah.
They had, and I don't know if they still had, quote, and she created the job, Ellen Kingston. She was called the concierge.
Yeah.
Do you have someone like that in your?
Well,
who will take care of the artist?
Well, not. Yes, we do, but not a dedicated person. So our guest services department oversees a lot of that. Our general manager is
to other artists who come in from other places.
That's exactly right. So, we hold 5-star customer service as one of our top pillars. And the reason for that is because we are a 600-seat venue. And, we're not always going to get the most top of the line, top tier artist. Taylor Swift is not playing our venue. I'm sorry to say. But if she wanted to, she's more than welcome.
I would say
happy
you
to
never
have
know.
her. Well, maybe.
Reputation.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that said, we are going to hang our hat on the fact that our overall experience is what's going to keep people coming back.
So are you saying from the time someone calls your box office to the moment they leave,
Exactly.
it's going to be a consistently great experience?
That's our goal.
You even have great parking, right?
That's free parking. Yeah, free parking.
Free parking, and we're developing our downtown
smaller community, so there are meters
Right.
everywhere.
But even down to the fact that, we have we're practicing all inclusive pricing. So it's not that, you don't see the ticket price and then you're hit with fees on top of that. Everything is included, bundled into the existing. So what you see is what you pay.
So it depends on the show, but what would you say your ticket price point range is?
Yeah, and it does depend on the show. But in general, like this past weekend, our tickets ranged from $30 to $55. I think that we've got some shows which have higher end artists that the ticket price may go up to $75 or more. And then we've got some other shows like the Hendricks Civic Theater show this weekend that are, $20 tickets, I believe.
So tell me about, you've got the big gala coming up.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Are tickets for sale?
There are. So that is our opening night celebration that'll feature a wide variety of performers. What we were really trying to do with that show was demonstrate the different types of artists that people would be able to see across our stage in one night. So we'll have performances from our local community partners. We'll have participation performances from the Indy Opera, Dance Kaleidoscope, blues musician Tad Robinson, and then it will...
Tad Robinson, I just reviewed him. I just saw him at the Jazz Kitchen.
Okay, he's fantastic.
Tremendous.
He is tremendous.
Paul Holdman, his guitars, all that group.
Yeah.
I was just really, really impressed. Yeah.
And then we'll be headlining, closing the show with Judy Collins, legendary singer-songwriter Judy Collins. So we're super excited about that. Tickets include food and drink as well beforehand. Dan, did you want to say what?
Chris generally introduces the acts coming on, and every time he talks about the gala, and he said, including Judy Collins, there's this murmur that goes through the crowd. People are really up for seeing.
I saw her in concert at the Tarkington, which is similar theater to yours.
Sure.
In the center. Mm-hmm. And you could hear a penny drop in that place. So it was just like,
well, she's a legend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so what's the response been so far?
Great.
Tickets are available. I would think that
they're selling quick, and we still have a handful that we've got to sell, but definitely jump on it.
How long would the program be?
Expect to be about 2 hours. Yeah. Now that includes
keeps to their schedule.
Exactly. Yeah. But in addition, there's a cocktail reception beforehand. So it's an evening. It's a full evening of cocktail reception program.
What are your needs right now? By the way, we didn't talk about this. It's always seems to be really important in these situations. You have a volunteer group in place.
We do. Yeah. And we're always looking. They can reach out to us, visit hendrickslive.org. Click on the support button on our website.
Are you training people to be...
Yes, usher. We have a volunteer usher corps, also ambassadors within the community.
How's it going?
Great. Yeah.
How many people
involved? I believe we're past 40 at this point, but
a lot of venues have retirees.
Yeah.
Seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Is that working?
It is. Yeah. Yep, exactly. But we will... look to over the next year really grow that support base, not only from philanthropists, but also from volunteers.
Is your bar, your refreshments affordable?
Yes, actually, I believe they are. We are partnering with the Pruitt Restaurant, which is that theater that Dan was talking about earlier. They're operating our concessions and are our preferred caterer for our event space as well. I should mention.
Are you offering all manner of refreshments?
Yep. How we are able.
And otherwise?
Yep. Adult beverages as well as soft drinks and, some snacks as well. We want to make guest accommodations, guest comfort a major part of our experience.
Do you have caterers? Oh, talk about
Yeah, our event
You
space.
showed me
I was
the
just
other
about to
is the
say.
cabaret room.
That's right. So in addition to operating the 600-seat theater, we also operate a 160-seat event space that has access to an outdoor terrace.
Such a beautiful room.
It's gorgeous, yeah.
The veranda outside, I mean, and that'll be available. The facility, you'll also have rental.
That's right, yeah. I mean, you can rent the theater itself. We've got some concerts that are being promoted by outside presenters.
So gotten any wedding receptions booked?
We've got a couple of weddings already booked. We also just hosted our own Eclipse event on the terrace, which was perfect. Yeah, it went. Yeah, it was the perfect venue.
Did you do a whole food was offered?
Food and drinks. Well, we'll have to do the Eclipse again. Just hit rewind.
You'll be around 25 years.
Exactly.
Right. Well,
whenever it is.
Here, it's somewhere. We're about to end this, but have any final thoughts? Anything I haven't asked you that you want to share about Hendricks? And by the way, the logo is just really cool.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
I just realized, is that the shape of your county?
That's right. Yeah, somewhat exaggerated shape, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you want to share?
Actually, I think this has been a really good conversation. I'm just glad to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to have you. I'm always really interested in these government arts partnerships. It takes people like yourself, politicians, to understand the economic benefits of the arts. Sometimes that's a really tough message to get through. And that's why I really wanted people to hear the story about what's going on.
It's funny you should say that, because there are a number of charitable foundations who see us as a first of many of expanding the arts throughout central Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people that are putting confidence in us to be able to succeed.
Also, for me, as a culture and as a society, you were always fighting the stereotype about Hoosiers, not being educated. It's just these generalizations. But the arts are what should be part of one's education, And by the way, we didn't get around to talking about children. Are you going to be exposing?
Yeah, we were developing partnerships with the school systems and working with them to.
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Yeah,
no, it's because we really have a very active arts group in our school, but when kids graduate, there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
One of our focuses was, as we're developing our young people and their art skills and they're getting fulfillment, why can't they practice the thing that they love right here where they live?
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing.
You guys get them early too, and I'm sure you were exposed to.
Oh yeah,
to the arts.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I mean, I started. There was a local theater where I lived. I spent every waking moment there as much as I could.
University myself, I wasn't exposed until high school, and I have a lot of regret about that.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm catching up, but you can still be introduced to the arts later on as an adult.
Well, and I firmly believe, too, and I take this from my time at Conner Prairie, I believe that not only is it important to learn about the arts themselves, but I believe that the arts can be a mechanism for learning about other subject matter, too, be it history, science, math, you name it. I think that what we're trying to do in partnership with the local community schools is see how can we be a resource for the educators, for the students? Where are some of the challenges that are in the classroom setting, that taking it out of a classroom, that we're in a more performance-based medium where we might be able to assist in some way?
Last question. Everyone, including your organization, does a strategic plan. Where do you both want to be? From your perspective, Dan, and from your perspective, Chris, where do you want to be 5 years out?
There's a couple of ways that I look at it, that we have three bottom lines. We have a mission-oriented bottom line, we have a financial bottom line, and then we have an economic impact bottom line. And from the mission-oriented bottom line, I want the community in 5 years throughout Hendricks County, throughout West Central Indiana, to have embraced us, to believe that we are an asset to their quality of life. From financially, obviously, we need to be self-sustaining, and we need to have an economic engine that keeps us going. But then also I want to hang our hat on what we've brought to the local downtown of Plainfield, what we've brought to Hendricks County in general. What's the business landscape look like, and how have we improved it?
Anything? For me, and speaking for the town council, I'm wearing two hats here. I'm chairman of the board of Hendricks Live, and I'm also town councilman. From the town councilman point of view, from the town council, we're looking for a vibrant community that attracts people of all incomes, where we can live and play together. If we have an active downtown and the businesses around us, and we can draw businesses in, maybe headquarters. I look at what Carmel did. While we're not
Harrison is inescapable, really.
We're not looking to be a Carmel. We're looking to be Plainfield.
Yes. Yeah.
But the vibrancy that we're looking for, and are we willing to make the investment? I think we've already shown that. And have we put our vision in place? I think we've shown that. Have we got the right person to build an organization that can sustain that? We did a lot better than we thought we could do. I tell Chris all the time, I break my arm patting myself on the back for hiring you. But
well, I would say you're also, in my experience in arts administration, leadership requires a really great CEO, managing director, whatever you want to call it, and a board president. So the two of you make a great team.
I agree.
And look, and
in 5 years, I hope he's still here.
Got me sold. I'm going to have dinner some night at that new Mexican restaurant in downtown Plainfield, and let's see a show. I mean, make an evening of it, right?
Love it.
Let us know when you're coming. We'll have a welcome mat out.
I hope.
Yes.
I'm really excited for you.
And thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best, and thank you for taking the time to. Did you drive in from Plainfield?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.